Okay, so let's do some light mapping in Blender. First thing you're going to want to do is select both objects, go to the object data properties here, create a new UV map. Make sure it comes into both. It won't, so you have to do it again. Change the name to something you'll remember. I'm going to make mine Lightmap, make the other one Lightmap as well. This is important. Both objects have to have the same UV map if they are using the same light map. So what we're going to do, so once we've got those both, we'll shift select both of them. We'll go to UV editing, Control A to select everything. I'm just going to use Blender's UV light map pack. So there we go. It's all set. We're pretty much good. Yep. I just want to make sure. Yeah. So basically, we want to make sure that both options are, or both objects are mapped in the same UV space. And the reason for that is because obviously they're going to be sharing the same light map. We want to make sure that they don't overlap any UVs. One other thing is for optimizing, this plane is a whole lot bigger than this cube, so we want the plane's UV island to be bigger than most of the cubes because there's going to be more detail there that we're going to need. So I'm going to scale down the cube, and I'm going to use the opportunity to scale up the plane. So stick that right in there. Okay, so I'm going to go over to my shading tab. And for each object, I'm going to create a material. Let's call this one cube. I'm going to create another material. Let's call this one floor. And what we're going to do is create a new image texture. Image texture, call it new. I'm going to go with the default 1024 by 1024. And I'm going to go UV map. And I'm going to change this to light map, plug it into the vector. Boop. Select them both, Control C, Control V to paste, just so I don't have to do that twice. And then I'm going to go over to my render settings. I'm going to make sure my render engine is set to cycles. I've actually set up the scene already, got a nice little HDRI, and I've got a light in the scene, which you can see as I move it around, it changes. Woo. So what we're going to do is go down to bake. We're going to change the bake type to diffuse, and we're going to uncheck color. So all we want is the direct and indirect color. Now, this is really important. The bake output will bake to the last image selected for each material. So for each material that's going to use this light map, I want to click on the image and then select this guy and also click on the image there for every material that's assigned to that object. Looks like we're good. I'll click this guy and then I'll say bake. You'll see a little progress bar on the bottom. Don't worry if it goes all the way to 100 and then drops back to 0. It does that for every object that's selected. So if you have, like 3 objects, it'll do that 3 times. And I'm going to quit out of these items. So that's one of it. Oh, and while this is going, I should mention max samples. I set mine to 4096. There's a noise threshold, which basically says like once the image noise is below this threshold, stop doing the render. You can uncheck this and do just a flat amount of samples. I forgot. Okay, so the light map is done. Let's check how it looks. We're going to select the plane. We drag the color into the base color. Well, it looks pretty good. Drag this guy into base color. Also, looks pretty good. Now, we got lucky here because these UV islands are very close together. And there's this thing down here called margin. So what this will do is it expands the UV map. And actually, I'll go to UV editing, and I'll select everything. It expands the render result past the UV island. And sometimes if these are too close together, they'll end up overlapping, and you'll get shading artifacts. Usually, I set that to, I have my own baking tab, that's why I keep going there. I set that to like 2 to 5, but in this case 16 worked. So, you're ready to go. Just save this out, Alt S for me, and I'll save it to the desktop as save as image.